the classic, not tropes, but everything came from something.
Of
So I
course.
got, I got Homer, I got the Iliad, I got all that stuff up there.
And even
Something comes from that.
Oh, yeah.
Shakespeare.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's
It all
helpful to
comes from
know.
something.
It's helpful to know Romeo and Juliet, Julius Caesar,
Right.
Macbeth,
Right.
and Hamlet. That should be just in the classic education background,
It should
because
be.
you're
Yeah.
gonna refer to that as an artist. If you've got a comprehensive education behind you, you shouldn't just know comics. You should know classic literature. You should know classic illustration. You should know the Brandywine
Yeah.
illustrators are. You should know N.C.
Right.
Wyeth. You should know Rembrandt, for that matter.
Right.
You
So,
should
so
know.
you'd say Western civilization art.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I think
Yeah, I
it's
mean that's
important. I mean, I'm
that.
not going to be a snob and say, well, you don't know that stuff, you can't draw good comics. Of course you can. But it's
Right.
certainly helpful to know where all this came from.
Yeah.
Most people know this, but it's worth repeating that Western comic books, the superhero comic book as we know it today, as comprehensively formed by Marvel and DC, that is an
Hmm.
indigenous art form to America, regardless of
Yeah.
the huge success that anime has made of it, and other countries have done tremendous work.
Yeah.
Um, it is an indigenous art form that's American as jazz, and we should be proud of that and celebrate
Right.
that. That Superman,
I love that.
Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men look. That's American, and we should always remember that and celebrate that. The
Mhm.
size of the book, the look of it, the 22 to 24 to 28 page standard floppy. Now I know we're in the
Yeah.
realm now where everything is a graphic novel, and that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
evolves, but that traditional comic book size and look and feel is something that is uniquely American as part of our culture.
I love that you said American is jazz. I think that's so good. So good.
Absolutely,
It's
man.
jazz.
Baseball, hot dogs,
Jazz
apple
is
pie, and Chevrolet. To quote an old ad.
perfect. Perfect.
But yeah, it's there's something cool about that. It's like a Levi's jeans. That used to be
Yeah.
a mark of distinction, and if you were a European, to have a pair of Levi's or a
Right.
Hershey's chocolate
Yeah. Oh
bar.
yeah.
That was something.
Yes. It's still a
You know,
thing. Still a thing.
still a thing. Still a thing. So uh, anyway, I've had the good fortune to work on some pretty cool and uniquely American titles like Batman and Star Wars and Green
Yeah.
Lantern,
Yeah.
and I've gotten to draw Wonder Woman. And these things,
Cool.
as a kid, it was something I aspired to, particularly to draw Batman. And
Yeah. Of
now,
course.
yeah, it was a badge of honor to reach that level. It was almost
Mhm.
like when you were an aspiring comic artist in the 90s, as I was, the 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 goal was to work your way up the ranks to play for Marvel and DC. It was the equivalent of playing for the major leagues, right? You're going to play for the Yankees,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and or the Red Sox, and pick which one is Marvel and which one is DC. But once you did that, you realized that the world was changing, the publishing world was changing. And now, 20 years, 30 years past, we start to see that there's a whole new marketplace opening up. And the status symbol of having worked for Marvel and DC, while it is still respected, it's no longer a necessary rite of passage to be considered a
Hmm.
successful comic book penciler.
Yeah.
Or
I was going to ask what changed it for you. Has anything changed for you?
yes, it's changed quite a bit, in all good
Okay.
ways.
Oh,
Having
good.
worked
Good. Okay.
for smaller independent companies and having come to meet people like yourself and others who were just getting into the business, it's exciting because I can share your excitement now as this, what I call a renaissance of independence. has begun, where
Okay.
you can literally start your own book, and build your own fan base online and be wildly,
Yeah.
hugely successful. Look at Eric July's comic book, right? Iceman, and look at I mean, the continuation of McFarlane's philosophy continues to this day.
Yeah.
Who needs Marvel and DC when you just reach your own marketplace and sell your own
Yep.
comic book? Look at you guys with Steam Patriots, right?
All right.
I mean, I had the unique good fortune of having done one of the covers for Steam Patriots and enjoyed it. Think
Yeah,
it's
it
a
was
great
amazing.
story.
It's our favorite.
Appreciate that, and it's a great story, and everyone, Q Mighty is another one.
Oh
Up
yeah, Q Mighty's amazing.
on Kumite, right? I'm working
Yep.
on a
Oh yeah.
project now called Light Raiders, which integrates
Oh yes.
the spiritual grounding of C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia approach with the
So
gaming of
fantastic.
D&D, right?
Yeah.
And so
The
one
merging
can
of those
learn.
two just blows
Yeah,
my mind.
I know. I love being asked by James Hannibal, who's a notable author in his own right, to come aboard. And I started by illustrating the player's guide and what would have been considered the monster manual and the player's guide all in one back in the day for
Right.
D&D.
Right.
And I'm not going to say it's just, oh, it's a Christian D&D. It's really so much more than that. It really is a Bible study tool.
Right.
And for people who are
That's so
interested,
cool.
look it up. Look up Light Raiders on YouTube. Put in Light Raiders crowdfunding. It goes live on the 19th
Light Raiders.
for support. But this will give you an idea of this great concept. And I had the opportunity to come up with the look of the players' uniforms, their armor, their weapons, the different species of monsters, the environments, the creatures, the bad guys as they're known, but even the fortresses that you're going to see as you play the game and learn. But yeah, I would highly recommend people go check out Light Raiders. That's like the most current thing I'm working on right now, and the thing I'm most excited about. I always have things in the works. I'm learning that writing them and really getting down to dialogue and the creation of world building is the fun part. The really the grunt work, the sweat of it is dialogue, setting, creating the characters and bringing them to life.
Yeah. So you're feeling the writer's pain.
Oh man, I mean, drawing it is fun, and that can be a challenge too. But boy, I feel for you writers who have to really bring it to life, bring it out of the page.
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about, because you and Scott Wakefield having to bring these characters to life, and all the research you did on the Revolutionary War period and so on.
Yeah.
Steam page.
Yeah. I often go to my professors. I'm still in college. I got one half of a semester left. I go to all of my professors' rooms and tell them about that. Like, we should probably have a PhD in history.
Yeah.
The amount of historical research we've done is just astronomical.
Oh yeah. Oh, and it comes through again though.
And then they all laugh like, oh yeah, sure.
Well, but here's the thing. It's what we covered earlier on in our conversation. This whole idea of the tip of the iceberg, right? You have to know the iceberg before you can tease the reader with just showing them, that really the cap of the iceberg.
Yep.
Absolutely. And you guys knew it, because I could tell through the dialogue, the references, the locations, the the names you used for the British, commanders and so on. The military individuals are there. The legendary American historical figures are in there, and you have to know what you're talking about to know, were they there at that time, at this period? What were they doing? So
and I was just going over the PowerPoint that I'm actually tomorrow going to be teaching a 1 hour class that I ran by you. about publishing comic books and graphic novels and all that, and I got to the page and like how specific can I make this language? When it goes to the letterer, can I say something like, these sailors reef the topsails? Who's going to know what that means?
Right. You have to.
Like,
That's an excellent point. Another writing challenge is, you may know the depth and the
right.
language, right, of a certain, like your skill set, for instance, being a sailor, right? So you understand these things, but the layman doesn't know, and so
Right.
I like to think of it though as a teaching opportunity, right? So you can put in the lingo, and then a lot of people will do an asterisk and put what the definition is. Now, judiciously, I would recommend.
Right.
You don't want to make it an encyclopedia. But in terms of, if you're referring to a certain knot, for example, or you use the name of a certain rigging of sails and so on,
Right.
it might be cool to, put the difference between a schooner, and another ship, for example. What defines a schooner? Most people don't know what that is.
Right. Which and that's super fun to work in. Like, if you have somebody sitting at the front of the ship, the bow of the ship, and with a spyglass, like, oh, we have a schooner. You're like, you don't just say it's a schooner. You can say it's a schooner because it has 2 masts, not 3. She's missing a mast, so it must be a schooner. So classic. So plenty of opportunities to do that.
Right, and there's a subtle way to include the definition in the dialogue too. A skilled writer can just let it flow right on through, right? So it's like,
exactly.
Wow, it's only got 2 masts. Oh, so it's a schooner. Again, you're getting the definition.
Yeah, she's fast but not laden. So schooners, like,
fantastic.
They're light. They can move fast, and you can work that into the subcontext.
Right. So and drawing that, right? So I would definitely look that up. I mean, the internet is a wonderful thing. I used to have stacks of visual reference, just everying, magazines and books, and the artist's
every angle.
studio. Pre-internet, the artist studio looked like a library.
Oh, I'm sure.
Doing your work, because you'd have to be able to find out. You'd be at the library checking out books. You'd want some lead time on your assignment, right? Because if it was going to be a period piece, and let's say you were doing a film noir detective piece that was set in the 50s, well, heck, I'd have to go find Life magazines from that era to see the cars and the suits and what the ladies wore and what the world looked like in those days. Right now, it's thank goodness we bring it up on the internet, right? So do your research. I would tell people, you want to be considered, top form artist. Do your research. Don't make it up. Don't make it up. Everybody can look it up on the internet. So, if somebody's holding a 45, look up what a 1911 Colt 45 looks like and use that.
Right. Exactly.